Welcome to True North Podcast, where we show you how to find your true north. I'm Mark Davis. He's Dr. Frank Griffin. And today we want to talk to you about a number of things. But first, I want to cover what we shared previously as we discussed True North and what we're about. So some of the key things we're going to cover in this podcast over time will be education, purpose, generational wealth, how to build your own family bank, leverage, and a number of other things that we'll cover. That's the nature of this podcast, and the uniqueness of it is that we're not going to hit you with just the regular plain information you could get anywhere. I'd imagine most folks won't talk to you about leverage as an example. They probably won't explain to you how to build a family bank, but you'll learn those things on this podcast. So welcome to True North. So one of the items we were going to talk about was hard work. And as I think about hard work, being a Hoosier, we all play basketball.
Absolutely.
You have to play basketball if you're a Hoosier. And hard work, one person in particular comes to my mind, and that's Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
And one of the things Kobe had was what they call the Mamba mentality. And what that is a very targeted and aggressive look at how I can be better and ultimately be the best. So Kobe was physically gifted. He had the right mindset for the sport. Mm-hmm. He had a father who played the sport. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, he had all the tools he needed to be successful. But he realized to go to that next level, he just didn't want to be a good player. He wanted to be a great player.
One of the greatest.
One of the greatest, which he did, rest in peace. So as you dig into Kobe's background, and Frank will talk a little bit more about this, is you'll find out that he recognized, if I work harder than the other top players, I have a chance of moving past them and into another level that they'll ultimately never catch me. So for example, if they were working out 2 times a week, or 2 times, maybe even 2 times a day for 2 hours, he said, I can work out 3 times a day for 3 hours.
Right.
And he said, over the course of 2 or 3 years, I'll have created such a gap between me and the others that they'll never catch me. And I think if you look back in his career, you'll see that that's what occurred. So, Frank, why don't you add some more on hard work?
And I think using the late, great Kobe Bryant as an example is a perfect way to talk about the necessity of effort, right? You must have effort. All these other topics that we will cover in future podcasts, if you don't have the effort, none of the other things will matter. That's right. It won't work. It won't work. So this is, Mark, I agree. This is a great topic to spend some time on, right? Just kind of the ABCs, the fundamentals, the 1, 2, 3s of what you need to do. You need to learn to put in the work.
Yes,
learn to put in the work, right?
Yep, do your work.
Yeah. And as we continue to think about Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality, what he decided to do, basketball was his thing. He knew what his passion was.
Yes, he did.
So that's really number one, right? And there's a couple, 3 or 4 things that you can extract from this example. He knew where he wanted to put in the work. And when he said work, he meant significant work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He would get up at 4 a.m.
Yes.
Right. And he will put in work until 10 at night in many cases, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But so if you want to put in that kind of work, you need to be passionate about what you're doing. But if you want to be great, you need to put in that kind of effort, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
So the first thing you need to decide, what is it that you have passion for, where you are willing to put in that much effort? Where do you want to go? Something that, that you feel that you have the ability to be very good, great, or one of the greatest, right? Right. So, we need to decide, do we want to be very good at something? We want to be great at something, or we want to be one of the greatest, right?
If I can offer,
please,
Frank,
I was going to pass you that ball.
Okay,
right back.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
put my extra work in, so I'm ready to receive it. So one of the things you're nibbling around is the foundation of this podcast.
Okay, good.
You're nibbling around True North.
Excellent.
And we'll get into that more as time goes on.
Excellent.
So, and I'd add to it, as you're describing where your passion lies and what you want to accomplish, I like the saying that wherever that passion is, that should be something that is more important to you than what's around you or what's behind you.
Good.
So it pulls you toward that as opposed to allowing you to hover in the same place. As we've talked about before, mediocrity is not a good place.
No.
Heck, I'd rather succeed or fail. Give me one or the other than I would sit in mediocrity.
That's right.
Because you'll never truly know that you've pushed yourself to any limit.
Good.
So,
Excellent. And to that point, and we'll get into this more in future podcasts, but we believe that everyone has an inherent gifts that you can be very good or great at something.
That's right.
A God-given gifts that and if you put forth the work, you can be better than most in that area, right? And the issue is you need to discover that, right? But then after you discover it, you need to put in that effort. So you need to be very strategic, right? You both of us have probably we've done it and we've seen other people do it, where you put in a lot of effort and did not get the return for your investment.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you need to figure out where you want to put that effort, right? Where you know you're going to get the proper return. Right? So you need to be more strategic.
Yes.
And we'll talk about strategy later, but just again, Kobe was very strategic. He talked about in one of his podcasts that he was quick, but he wasn't the quickest.
Yeah.
He said he was strong, but he wasn't the strongest. Right? He was fast, but wasn't one of the fastest. So he said what he decided to do, he realized for me to continue to excel, I need to figure out angles of attack. He needed to be very strategic on how he approached the matter. We have to decide, if we want to be great, and let's not even say let's be very good. Let's just talk about being great. If you want to be great at something, first of all, God has given you a gifting where you can. If you put forth the effort, you can be great, right? If you want to be great at something, you need to figure out what you need to work on where you can excel beyond your competition, if you will, the people around you. Right.
Talk about God's gift. When I was 15, I thought I was going to be the next Dr. J.
I remember you at 15. We did too at that point.
Little did I know I'd peak at the 8th grade. But hey, that's such is life, And at 5'10", compare myself to a 6'7" guy. It didn't work out. But one thing I did recognize is I had a plan B.
Yes.
I know I was relatively intelligent, and I thought I could ride that horse to the next level. And for me, that's how it worked out.
That's smart, right? We got to be strategic. You got to be smart in what you're doing. Most young men, young ladies, they have a dream of being a Kardashian or being a Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or LeBron James, right? And nothing wrong with those dreams.
Nothing wrong,
right? The truth of the matter, only 1% of 1% probably will make that, right? But you need a plan B.
Yes.
Right. But in that plan B, there's greatness in that plan B.
Oh, goodness.
There's success, right? There's vast benefits for you, your family, and your community around you from that, right? So, but if you're willing to put forth that effort, right? So that's key. So you got to really set a goal and figure out where that is. And then once you set a goal, you need to kind of build a plan on how you want to attack that, right? You need to figure out, all right, what do I need to do? So I want to be great at this thing that I have passion for, right? You need to see, right, where you want to be and then work backwards on what you need to do to get there, right? Yeah, you got to build that plan, build that bridge to get to your greatness. And that means, every day, every morning, every evening, or 3 days a week or 5 days a week or whatever that is, I'm going to have to put in the time to get there. Just like Kobe, he decided if I put in more time than my competitors, I'm going to be better than my competitors, right? And that's how it works.
If I could add to that, I did this later in life, and this is somewhat subtle, but I transformed myself to where I am when I'm successful.
Good.
And then I look back.
Good.
When I'm at this point, here's what things will have happened and how I will live and operate as a whatever. In my case, I'm a COO now. Well, I set myself, I put in my mind when I get to a certain level, not that one, the Lord decided to open that door for me. But I knew I would reach a certain level of success in business. It was part of my true north.
You felt it.
Oh yeah.
That's what God put in you.
Knew that real early in life, right? Just to be frank. I didn't know what that was going to look. I didn't know what that would ultimately be. It's beyond what I thought, but I still would put myself forward and start to look backward and say, well, when I'm there, this will look different. That'll look different. I'll need to do these things different than I do today.
That's right.
So it's a look backward, and that's a very subtle adjustment, but hopefully that helps one other person.
That's very key. I always ask. I was in a mentoring session this week with some young engineers, Africans, African Americans, Middle Easterns, Europeans, and just a group of us just talking, and I was just sharing with them about, things that they need to do. They need to be very proactive. They need to see themselves, that figure out what they want.
Yes.
And, we waste a lot of time, but we need to really figure out what we want.
Yes.
Once we figure that out, the rest is just putting a plan together to get there.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, I want to go to California. It's as simple as I want to go to California. Then from there, you need to have a Google Maps on how you get there.
Yeah, exactly.
The same thing with success.
Yes.
Right? As soon as you figure out that your destination, right, like you said, you get there, you look back and you put a roadmap to get there. But then, as we're talking about, it's the effort. It's the effort. You got to put in the work.
You do.
You got to put in the work.
One of the things that I use with a lot of my coworkers, this is they would tell you, I say this all the time. What does success look like?
Good. Excellent.
So you'll know, if you think success for this project looks like this.
That's good.
And it forces them to answer the question. And as you get a little bit older in life, I can wait for you to talk about all the nice rosy and flowery things that you would want to talk about.
Right.
And I'll sit there and say, so what does success look like? And, we just talked about we're in a different season of life.
Yeah, we are.
I will wait for that answer. And if I don't get that answer, how I'll look at you will be not negatively. I'll just think you got some more work.
You're not ready yet.
Yeah, you got more work to do.
Man, and I look back 20 years ago, and I remember having a conversation with people about where we are today.
Yes.
Right? Officers of the companies, et cetera. And they would just ask me, they wouldn't do a lot of talking. It's like, well, what do you want?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like, what can you do? What do you want? And once you figure out what you want, we can figure out together how to get you there.
That's right.
And that's how I was telling these young engineers and these young professionals, right? They're in their 20s. I was saying, just figure out what you want. It's really the organization and your manager's responsibility to help you get there.
Yeah, it is.
It benefits the company.
Yes.
Yep. If you have gaps, let's fill the gaps.
We'll fill the gaps.
Yeah, it's doable.
Hard work will come and fill in the gaps.
And that's what you got to do.
Yes.
It's basically figure out where you want to go and put in the work to get there.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. And the reason why more people don't dabble in greatness is not because of a lack of ability.
Yep.
Or obstacles or issues. All that's going to happen. But in most cases, you just got to put forth the work.
That's right.
Some things are going to be easier. Some things are going to be more fair. But you can put forth work to overcome any of that.
That's right. That's right. One of the things I'd offer as well is personal accountability is in there.
Absolutely. Excellent.
That at the end of the day, how hard you work is up to you.
It is.
And I really, it bugs me when I hear people say, well, they said. My kids will tell you, don't come in this house talking about they said. If you find yourself, and I'll share that with this audience, if you find yourself with that as the response, they said, the first place you need to look for your success or your failures in the mirror.
The man in the mirror.
That's where you go. And I know this is for some people, depending on where you are in life, might be somewhat obvious to them. But I guarantee you there's somebody out there that thinks, well, the boss didn't like me or the culture of the company. Sometimes that's the case. But I submit that's fewer than the majority. I'd say that's in the minority of the times that's the case.
I agree.
And the reality is, it doesn't really matter if you like me or not. If I'm on my true north, I speak for myself. You're a distraction. I will be able to talk to you and get what I need to keep moving forward. I don't need to be rude. I don't need to whine. I don't need to complain. I'm accountable to myself. And at the end of the day, and I thought about your education in particular, No one can take that from you.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter who along the way didn't like you, if they threw roadblocks. Your true north was going to get you through it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And today, it wasn't as if you were doing it for them.
Right. That's correct.
You had gifts in you that you used to get out. So you're personally accountable for your own success.
You are.
And that's what we need to see more and more people. You know, my role, when like I talked about, you interview people, and it's, what about your success do you own? How hard have you worked at it? And when I interview our prep people, I'll say, so show me the results. Show me that,
That's right,
that tangible thing that you accomplished.
That's right.
And another thing I like to offer folks, one lesson I've learned in 35 years in business is, when you move into a particular position, company, or what have you, one of the first things you should look for is what metric determines whether you're successful or
That's
not.
it. Yeah.
So if I walk in and it's my sales, maybe in my line of work, it's reliability and safety. You know, I'm in the utility space. If I keep your lights on, your costs down, and don't hurt anybody,
that's your metric.
Odds are
success.
I win.
That's right.
And I say it that way because let's say I had a boss at one time that didn't think I could walk or chew gum.
Okay.
And, you know, that was something I had to deal with. But my true north said, I know what's in me. Next thing you know, we have some of the best numbers, as I just described, in the industry.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
And
That's
I know
awesome.
where my hand laid in that. It wasn't about me running around, you know, shouting at the top of my lungs, but I knew this is what success looks like, again, by way of these measures. And for the audience, now when I walk in the room for evaluation, read the numbers. You don't need my opinion. You don't need. I like the saying, you see my work.
You see my work.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
work.
You
That's
see
it.
my work.
That's key.
Yeah.
That's key.
So then I don't have to go through and say, well, I felt like, or this got in my way and I struggled with. No. Read the numbers.
We can spend another hour. I know we probably need to wrap up, but this is extremely good stuff, right? You said a couple things. One is you will run into delays.
Yes, you will.
But if you have a true north, if you know that there's greatness in you, and there is, then it will not be a denial. You cannot be denied. The only person that will deny you from greatness is you. It's you. It's you. Once you decided, hey, God gave me this, I'm gonna work it. If you don't believe it, I'll find someplace else. Just like you, right? I know we are Indiana boys, and we're back in Indiana.
That's
we'll probably spend the rest of our lives in Indiana.
Probably.
We'll hang out other places, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but you decided that I'm gonna pick up my family because there's more for me someplace else. That was a huge move for you. I know that was
a huge move.
Huge. But you were chasing that greatness.
Yeah,
right.
I knew it was in me.
It was there.
And I knew where I was not going to open enough doors for me to get. I was bigger than the role. And to a degree,
that's good.
The company that I was in, they were not able to necessarily see me for what I am. But at the time, that's not one of those day blame. That was when the next recruiter called.
That's right.
I answered the call.
That's right. That's right.
I said, my responsibility is to my family. I don't necessarily work for you.
I work for me and my
family. I work for me and my family.
Absolutely.
And that's what I did and made that decision. And the true north in there allowed me to not be distracted by little things. If it's not in alignment where I'm trying to go, I'm not the kind of guy
out of
that
alignment.
Goes, oh, look, squirrel. No.
No.
I'm on a mission to get done what I need to get done.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
As we wrap up,
this is awesome.
You want to revisit the hard work?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of recap a little bit, you need to understand, right, where your passion is, right, where you want to put your time. Time is valuable. And this episode allowed us to hit probably 5 or 6 topics, right? Yeah, and talk about the true north. It was awesome, but you really will figure out where you want to put your time and your effort, right? You want to set a goal to get there. Once you figure out what your gift is, you want to put a goal and a plan to get there. One thing we didn't talk about, another thing you can do is see other people that are where you want to be. what are they doing,
Mhm.
right? And then you can tailor your work to try to get to where they are, to at least as great or greater than they are, right?
Mhm.
It's there. It's for us all. We all have greatness in us. We believe that. That's why we're
That's
here,
right.
because we believe there's greatness in each and every one of you. All you have to do, very basic, there's some few things you need to do, but you have to get this one right. You got to put in the work.
Yes,
You
you
got to
do.
put in the work. Right.
Mhm.
So we appreciate the time, guys. We'll be back soon, talk about more, a lot around what we have covered, right? But
Mhm.
we want to continue to flow in this kind of vein to share with you the experiences that we've had.
Yep.
Yeah. So you want to close us out, Mark, and anything else?
Yeah. I'd say, as Frank just eloquently described, do your work, and along the way, also measure how you're doing. If your passion points you to from point A to Z,
Mhm.
then in the last quarter, what did I accomplish
That's good.
relative to where I want to go?
Excellent.
And make it as tangible as you possibly can.
Mhm.
So if I'm, maybe it's saving money. I don't know. Or if it's something to do with my education, I need to have certain grades this quarter, and I'm going to
Good.
work as hard as I possibly can
Excellent.
to achieve that goal.
Excellent.
And that way, I know when it's all said and done, I left it on the court.
That's right. Left it all on the court.
Yep.
Yep.
My wife used a good series of phrases that are words that I really appreciated. You have to be committed.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to challenge yourself.
That's
If
good.
you're, and I put a you word in there, you need to be uncomfortable. Because if you find yourself moving through your
Easily.
life comfortable, easily, you're nowhere near pushing yourself to your greatest
That's right.
level. And
That's
I'd
exactly
offer
right.
that to anyone.
That's good.
Think about it after this podcast is done. How comfortable am I, or how uncomfortable am I?
Mm-hmm.
And if you find yourself comfortable, you're
There's more.
easing toward mediocrity, and there's far more in you. I don't care what it is: music, business, education,
Athletics.
whatever it is. If you're not uncomfortable, you're probably not where you want to be.
That's good. That's good. That's not gospel, but that's good news right there.
That's good news.
That's good news. Yeah. So thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
We'll talk soon.